Kia ora koutou, and welcome to what you would think was the Hot Air Sports podcast, but it's not. We're doing something a bit different this year, and it's called the Hot Air Glory Days. And I am the Goose, formerly known as Macca, and right next to me is Mahona, who's now known as the Couch Potato.
Yeah, well, you added the potato bit, mate. I'm happy with the couch. I don't know about the potato bit, but I do
Okie
like
dokie.
I do like potatoes, especially the mashed ones. Baked ones, all sorts of potatoes. But enough potatoes. We got three potatoes here. Who's this?
Well, you tell us a bit about what we're doing now.
Okay, so we're going to mix it up a little bit in 2026. We've done this hot air glory days where we hit up some of our favorite sports and media stars from days gone by, talk about their upbringing and their careers, the wins, the losses, the glory and the despair, their lives past their glory days. And we're bringing in someone very special, someone very dear to our hearts. He's been mentioned a few times on the Hot Air Sports podcast before. He's our first interview for 2026. I'll let you introduce him, Goose.
Yes, it's me old mucker. I've known him for nearly 50 years now, which is probably aging us both, there, brother. Tony Chiller Blain, welcome to the Hot Air Glory Days.
G'day, boys. How are you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
real good,
good,
mate.
very good. So, we're just going to run through a few questions and talk a bit about your life and your cricketing and all sorts of thing. And then when we finish, we've got a little questionnaire which has got nothing to do with cricket or sport, and so we're going to learn a bit more about Tony
The
Chill
real,
Blaine.
the real Tony Blain.
Now, as I mentioned, we've known each other for a number of years now. I don't know if you remember when we first sort of got together.
Yeah, well, it would have been down at the Gully's place, I would have thought.
More than
Um,
likely.
yeah. At Shirley and Hugh and John and all the troops there in the Gully household in Nelson. But also no, you were at Nelson College and I was for the by 75. Were you third form in 75?
No, I was 76.
Okay, so I was full form and I headed off after the first term of that year over to Motueka and lived in Motueka after that. But I met you at that time when you were just a wee chap, and I was also similarly a wee chap, and at Nelson College, wasn't it?
That's correct. Now, did you also used to do the scoreboard at Trafalgar Park when they had
No,
Central District games on there?
no, I used to hang around. No, that would be too much like work, and anything to do with anything to do with numbers, forget about it. Couldn't trust me to do that. The scoreboard would be all over the shop.
Now, for the listeners and watchers that don't know who you are, Tony, explain where you're from and why we've got you on the podcast. Where you're born and raised, mate?
Born in Nelson, moved around to Motueka when I was 14, and obviously was involved with cricket, played a fair bit of cricket,
Yep.
got involved with the Nelson Hawk Cup team, was a very strong minor association team, started playing first-class cricket in 1982 as a 20-year-old, and played for CD most of the way through up until 1995 when I retired then, and had a couple of test matches and one day for New Zealand in between.
You also had a season at Canterbury, didn't you?
I had one season down in Canterbury, an 83-4 season, because Ian Smith was obviously the CD keeper, and I couldn't see a spot on the side for me while he was around, and ended up playing sort of forced my way in the Canterbury side by the end of the season, but it wasn't really quite what I'd wanted down there. I felt I got a decent offer to come back to CD and say I could play as a batter, and Smithy by then was back in the test side because he wasn't in the test side the year before, so he was around the whole time. So they said I could keep while Smithy was on test duty. So I was opening the batting when Smithy was around, and then playing as in middle order and as a keeper when Smithy was away. So it was quite a good little system really for me.
Who were your
You-
first
you-
influences, Tony? Your first cricketing influences, your first maybe some heroes or people that you looked up to when you first started in the cricket world?
Well, I was lucky in Nelson. Had a very strong cricket background, and in schoolboy cricket, there was a chap called John Goodman who used to do a lot of coaching for the schoolboy side and did brought lots of really good cricketers through. Then I'd made the Nelson, my club cricket I played for Walker, which was across Motueka, a sort of a country team, full of characters, but guys who were enthusiasts and gave it everything, So they sort of instilled a bit of a, kind of a fighting, a battling sort of because they were a bunch of farmers who weren't great, but they competed well.
Yeah.
Against some of the teams in
What's the name of
Nelson,
that family that was basically the backbone of that club?
the
The
Burrowses.
Burrows.
Yeah, at one point there were about 6 Burrows in the team. There was Darcy, Mark, Grant, Warren, Billy, and Kevin. And and they
Awesome.
were all like talented rugby players, like tobacco farmers and all that kind of stuff. And there
Yeah.
were some real characters. There was Hedgehog Cedarman and Turtle Curtin, Soup Drummond. All these guys, they weren't great cricketers, but they were
No.
really, really good competitors.
Yeah.
And they certainly enjoyed a beer after it and all that kind of stuff. So that was great. And then I sort of got picked in the Nelson Hawke Cup team when I was about 17, 18.
Mm.
And in that in that Nelson rep team who held the Hawke Cup for a number of years, the first game I played against Wairarapa, we had 4 guys that either had or went on to play Test cricket, and 5 of the other 7
Wow.
were first class players. So we had the guts of the CD batting lineup. We had people like Roger Pearce, Jock Edwards, Wayne Hodson, Terry Horn, Matthew Toynbee, Scott Briasco, John Smith. Those kinds of players came through over in that period, and we had a pretty reasonable bowling side as well. But we normally scored 500-ish anyway, so bowling was not really the main issue.
Yeah.
Bat first and for 2 days of the 3, and then
Put
we
your feet
rolled
up.
them on day 3.
Well, in my first Hawke Cup match, we batted for a day and 3 quarters against Wairarapa, got 600, and then bowled them out in a session. And Dermot Payton, they were knackered, you see. They've been out there 2 days in the heat.
Yeah.
And Dermot Payton came in and said, we're farmers from the Wairarapa. It'd be quite nice. We can't win this game. It'd be quite nice if we could just go to the beach tomorrow and enjoy Tahuna Nui Beach. And we said, fair enough, So we had a pretty handy, more than handy really. We had Jock Edwards, who had played tests. We had myself, Andrew Jones, who went on to become a fantastic test player, and a chap called Paul Terry, who'd come over from England to play. He played a test match for England before he got his arm broken against the West Indies. We had people like Richard Hayward too, also was a county player. He was over and ended up living in Nelson. Richard Harden was another county player who stayed and is still living in Nelson. So, yeah, we had a tremendously strong minor association side, and I was lucky to be a young fella coming through that. So I learned quite a bit about cricket from them.
In fact, it was so strong, that Nelson side. There were talks about making it a first class side, wasn't there? And breaking away from CD.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that was ever really a serious proposition. They talked about that with North Harbour for a while too. But that was just, at that time, there was quite a few of the Auckland guys who happened to be New Zealand players living on the shore. But that can't be sustained. So, no, that was a nice tribute to Nelson being strong. But, it was only ever sort of like mentioned in passing, I think.
Now, was cricket the only sport you played, Tony, or did you play any other sports?
I used to play a bit of rugby in the winter. Yeah, that was good. I always enjoyed my rugby. It wasn't much chop, but I used to have a run around it like you do with the lads in the winter. I ended up stopping playing because I dislocated my shoulder playing for the first 15, and then the next year I ruptured my ankle. So I sort of figured out. I got told too, but I got figured out that if I wanted, by then my cricket was sort of taken off a bit.
Yeah,
I said you can't do both, so that was the end of me there. So. Yeah, but I enjoyed my rugby, still enjoy watching rugby, that's for sure.
And what drew you to cricket? What really made you fall in love with the game?
Well, to be honest, I think to go to a deeper level, because I had 2 older sisters and no brothers. Both my sisters, they were quite a bit older and left home when they were 15. So I was a bit of an only child really from about the age of 8. I think that camaraderie and the kinship of being within a team, I was always drawn to team sports, but particularly with cricket because you spend so much time with people. And also once you get, with the CD team particularly, we were like a band of brothers because you wouldn't see each other between seasons, and then you'd meet up the day after you meet up Boxing Day, and it was like a family reunion, and then you'd have the next sort of 6-7 weeks together, all day, every day, and it was kind of wonderful. Really, it was really neat. I mean, there was no money in it and all that kind of stuff, and some of the cricket we played was under duress from the Bears the night before, but. Which is not necessarily any different to any of the other teams going around at the time, but we certainly built a really strong bond amongst CD that I think only Northern had as a comparative, because I know that a lot of the other teams, your Wellingtons and your Aucklands particularly, because they see a lot of each other all the time and have done since they've been as schoolboy cricketers. They kind of don't necessarily get on as well. They can be a bit cliquey. Whereas CD certainly wasn't like that.
Now, you mentioned it's probably a semi-professional. Is it when you first started? What was your first job? What about your first overseas travel? Your first time you took off, sort of?
Okay, well, when I left school and I worked at Tally's Fisheries unloading fishing boats for the winter. Then I picked tobacco for the summer.
Wow.
Then I went to Christchurch for the next winter, flattered with a couple of good mates, in a really fairly sparse environment down in St Albans.
It's a rite of passage, isn't it?
Yeah. It was fantastic. It was so good. We all sleeping in one room on the floor. It was St Vincent de Paul to get a mattress and buy a blanket. It was just
shitty couch.
It was like, couch luxury, So
exactly.
It was. No, we didn't have a couch. We had 2 chairs. I remember we used to have to take turns on who was going to sit. But we had no heating in Christchurch in midwinter. We would while away the nights playing cricket inside. And the bedroom was the only big room. It had been a lounge, but we made it the communal bedroom. But we smashed all the windows, you see, playing cricket with a tennis ball in the room. And of course, you wake up in the morning with frost on your blankets and stuff. So anyway, that was good. Then back to Motueka for the summer. Played cricket, picked tobacco, worked in my dad's pub. He had the Motueka Hotel, so I'd pour a few beers in between.
Nice.
Then to Australia in '82, worked lived in Bondi with a bunch of other. There's about 12 Kiwi. We had like Kiwi Castle there in Bondi.
Awesome.
Then back, same again next summer. But then after that, I started to go to England through Ronnie Hart.
Oh, okay.
I got a connection to go and play league cricket in West Yorkshire. So I started doing that for the next 5 years, playing in the off playing in Yorkshire in the off season.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Now your nickname's a fairly obvious one. Who started it?
I did.
You did.
I did. Yeah.
You gave yourself a nickname. Hang on.
I did. Yeah. It was in self-defense because I turned up to the Nelson rep team, and at the time I used to wear these big cowboy boots, and I had a big belt buckle with a thing. So they started calling me Tex, and I wanted him that. And they said, and I just said, don't call me Tex. I remember it was Steve Gill, because Steve Gill had quite a vicious sense of humour. He called Ronnie Hart. Ronnie didn't have much hair, so he just said, "G'day, Lighthouse." He started calling him Lighthouse, the big beacon on the top. And so he was Lighthouse forever. I thought, I'm not going to be called Tex. So they said, well, what's your nickname? And I just, off the top of my head, went, Chill. They went, Chill Blain. And they went, oh, and there it was. So I went, phew, at least I'm not Tex.
Great story. Great story.
That's funny, no one's ever really asked me that.
Really?
No one's ever really asked me that, because I think people presume that was just, evolved like nicknames do.
Well, usually when you say, I don't want a nickname from someone, that they go, well, that's definitely your nickname. You're definitely stuck with Tex. I would have thought, no, you're keeping Tex, mate.
No, I mean, looking back on it, Tex wouldn't have been so bad. But I've never been a massive fan of country music, so I didn't like the connotation.
Why were you wearing the boots then? What's going on?
No, because all the cool guys in Motueka wore these big cowboy boots. Yeah, and a leather jacket as well. Always wore the leather jacket.
Oh. Yeah, you got to understand Motueka in the 70s, Aaron, to know that. What's memories of your first big game? Maybe your first game for CD, or Your first test?
Um, well, certainly, I mean, my first game for CD was against Canterbury at Lancaster Park on quite a green wicket, and I had only been put in the team a few days before. I was in the CDB team, and the CD team played CDB as a warm up the week before. It wasn't a trial match or anything. It was just a warm-up game. But at the end of that game at Palmerston North, they said, blah, blah, thanks, lads. And there's one change. Ronnie Hart, who was going to be opening for the CD team, is playing for the Bees, and Tony Blain's going up to the first 11. And that wasn't ever really considered. It was there would be any changes made, which was a bit awkward because Hardy was playing for our club team, and he was giving me a lift back from Nelson Airport.
No.
His wife was coming and picking him up.
Oh, no.
It was a bit of a quiet trip on the way home.
Oh.
And they wanted me to open the batting down there. And at that time, I was a keeper and batting in the middle. I hadn't opened for Nelson or anyone at that stage. So it was all a bit strange, really, especially when I went out to bat and I was just batting in my floppy hat. And I used to bat in like Skellerup All-Stars. I didn't really bat in boots. I just batted in sand shoes. And Hadley's looking at me and said, "Where's your helmet?" And I'm like, we had one team helmet in those days.
One.
We had a big red helmet, and it had great big, just the side peaks.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They were really there was no grill. They were really long side peaks. So I tried it on. It was way too big because I've got a bit of a pinhead, and it was just like a big casserole dish on my head.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And so I went out, and I was absolutely shitting myself with Hadley.
Yeah.
And nicely, he bowled up to me. It was so green and going around, he just decided I'll knock him over.
Yeah.
And so I was just getting really well forward and going by my big forward defensive shot, getting hit on the body a lot. And then in the end, after about 4 overs of that, he bounced me. And it came through here. But the thing was, because he bowled such a great length, when you bowled his bouncer, it was kind of very easy to spot because it was so different. Anyway, so I managed to negotiate all that. I got out the last over before lunch. They brought Dave Stead on, bowled leggies.
Yep.
And it was a very full, wide ball. And I absolutely creamed it. It was, really wide. And it hit Dave Dempsey at short point between the eyes, no helmet. And it ricocheted up, and Hadley caught it out in the leg side. So I was out. Yeah. So I was out for 7. In my first innings, but we ended up winning the game, and then we won again the next match. We won it at Napier against Auckland, but then I was 12th man. I didn't score many runs, and I think they realised I was a long way short from being ready for first class cricket.
Yeah.
But what they did was they kept me because in those days you'd play a 3-day game and then 1 day at the end of it on the 4th day, same pitch, same all in whites and all that sort of stuff. But they were, one-day cricket was sort of in its infancy. So what the CD decided to do was they kept me as 12th man for the 3-day game, and I just played and kept in the 1-dayers, which suited me, and it was quite a good little intro to the whole thing.
Yeah.
In my first Shell Cup game against Canterbury out at Rangiora, I got 50 off about 40 balls, I think, and whacked a few and won the game. So that was good.
Nice.
That was a good start. But I didn't get another 50 in the Shell Cup for about 10 years after that. So I was never much of a one-day player, really.
What about your first test?
Yeah, what about international cricket? First.
Well, my first go for New Zealand was in a one-day match against Australia at Carisbrook.
Jeez.
And
what year was this, Tony? Can you
86.
86, okay.
86,
yep.
Yeah. And the weird thing is, that game was on the Wednesday morning, and on the Monday afternoon, I was driving back from fielding. I've been doing some coaching at Fielding Primary School, and I was pretty hungover. And I've been in the sun all day, and I was pretty dehydrated, and trying not to, the long road back into Palmy from Fielding, long straight road. So I was trying not to fall asleep. It was about 30 degrees, and the radio was on, and the sports news came on the radio. And New Zealand had beaten Australia. Bracewell had bowled Australia out the day before at Eden Park. And they said, after the big win yesterday, and the one-day team's been announced, and the 2 changes from the test team and Bruce Blair and Tony Blain will be making his debut. And then they went on to the next thing. And
you hadn't had a call or anything?
No, they didn't. No,
on the radio?
Well, they wouldn't. There were no cell phones. They wouldn't
No,
know
I
where they
suppose. I
wouldn't.
suppose.
I was just flatting with Mark Gunning with Poppy and at 11 Hartley Place in Palmerston
There you
North
go.
with all his brothers.
No
Um,
way.
and I sort of like, as I say, I was half a comatose, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Did I actually hear that?
did I imagine that?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't think I wasn't prone to hallucinations, not without pharmaceutical help. Um, anyway, so I get back to 11 Hartley Place, and I get up there, and there's Poppy and a couple of flatties. Oh, well done, mate, well done. I'm like,
Awesome.
oh, I didn't imagine that. So I had to phone. I phoned Graham Dowling and says, what do I do now? And he says, oh, just fly down to. And I said, well, I got no money. And he goes, oh, well, just you pay for the airfare, we'll reimburse you. So I had to borrow money off one of my club mates, Mark Gleeson, went and paid for the ticket.
No way.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
Well,
crazy.
I got down there. I had no boots. So I'd thrown my boots away because our season had finished and my boots were knackered. So I thought I'll get some when I go back to England.
Yeah.
So I arrived down there and I said to Graham Dowling, oh, yeah, I don't know. Has anyone got any spare boots at all? As luck would have it, Stephen Bock was 12th man. He had a brand new pair of boots he hadn't worn, and we were the same size feet, so he
Oh,
just gave
nice.
them to me.
Oh,
Except that
legend.
when I went out to bat, they had such long spikes, brand new spikes, really like deadly,
Yeah.
like long golf tees. And I was used to batting in sand shoes, or the boots that I did have were the sprigs were down to nothing, the spikes were down to nothing. So Bruce Reid came in to bowl the first ball, and I went to move forward, and I couldn't move. My feet were just absolutely.
You're pinned.
I was like, and I nearly face planted. But
Oh, that's awesome. What
anyway,
what a story. And so how did you go in that first outing, mate? Did you do okay?
I did all right. I did all
Yep.
right. Me and Hadley put on about 40 in the last 5 overs. It was a low scoring game. The wicket was kind of damp. We put on 40 in the last 5 overs and boosted our score a bit. I got 23 off 15, hit the last couple for four. But it was funny because I was like an out of body experience. I was so
Yeah.
nervous.
Yeah.
And I'd borrowed Jeremy Coney's helmet, and I had, and all the gear that I was wearing, the beige, it was beige stuff,
Oh, nice.
and it was really, really small, really tight. So I looked like I was wearing a muscle shirt, and my pants were so tight I could barely get my thigh pad down. It was just, and I come out and I faced about 4 or 5 balls, and I just blocked them all. I just fully blocked them, and it was just, whoa. And then the next over, I started to do the same thing, and
Yeah.
then mid over, after about two balls, Hadley just said, "Wait." He walked down to me down the end, and
Yeah.
he says, "Blaney, there's only 4.5 overs left. We need to try and get on with it a bit." And suddenly something rang because I was just tripping out.
Yeah.
I went,
Yeah.
"Oh yes, yes." Last over's one day game. That's right. Hit some runs. So
Oh,
from then on, I just started swinging at everything, and I think the next sort of, as I say, I scored all my runs off the next. I hit 4 boundaries in the next sort of like 10 balls, and we finished all right. And then we won. I caught Phillips and Border, I think both off Martin Crowe, who used to bowl really well to
yeah.
left-handers. He was
Yeah.
quite he could be
Yeah.
quite quick, old Crowe, and bowled in,
Mm.
or away to the lefties. So yeah, we had a good one. Then we had another good one at Christchurch the next game. And we went to the third one, and we should have won there too. But Wayne Phillips hit 50 off 30, and we didn't. We bowled had the wrong field to him.
Now, what about your
Um,
first Test match? When was that, and how did you hear about that?
that was later in the year, in about July, I think. And oh well, no, I got picked for the England team, so that was all. By then, I was sort of expecting to be picked, and they sort of said that we had a short trip to Hong Kong, thinking about April, which was pretty hard on our livers, really. It was, it was a bit of carnage.
It's so
But no,
short.
then we went. So we went to England, I think, in about July.
Yeah.
Played tour matches and all that sort of stuff. And I hadn't played any of the one dayers or test matches, and then wasn't expecting to play in the last test. But then Smithy pulled out. And I was going to the ground. We were going to the Oval the day before the test, And I hadn't, I was just going there. And of course, by this time, because I hadn't been playing, I didn't even take my gear there. I was just going there would bowl in the nets at the guys and give
Yep.
throwdowns and help with the catches and stuff. And as I'm walking to get on the bus, Turner goes, "Where's your gear?" And I said, "Well, I haven't been, I don't, He says, "No, you're playing tomorrow." I said, uh, "One moment, please, caller." I ran back to my room and just brought my keeping gloves. Didn't take a bat or anything, just my keeping gloves.
Jeez.
Yeah. So yeah. But at that stage, we had drawn the first test at Lords. We had won the second test at Nottingham. Bracewell had got 100. And I think Crow had got runs as well, and we did well, won that one. So
Is this
we
the one
just
where you guys were getting slagged off in the press? Is this the tour
well,
they're calling you
I think
Guildford
Ilford
11 or something?
third
Yeah,
11.
yeah,
right.
no. Mike Gatting had said sort of rather innocently that facing the New Zealand bowling attack with Hadley at one end, and then like Willie Watson and Evan Gray and what have you, because Ewan Chatfield wasn't playing him.
Mm.
It was like facing the World 11 at one end and Ilford second
Ilford.
11 at the other end. So it was just like a club team, like a
That's
club
right.
attack.
Yeah.
Now he didn't mean any sort of, and there was certainly some relevance, some validity to what he was saying, but it didn't go down very well with us, and it is a bit condescending too, I suppose. Anyway, so that sort of fired us up a little bit. So
Hmm.
that was cool through that test match. I mean, I at one stage I batted because we were just playing for a draw really, and when I
Yep.
went in, we'd lost wickets. I was batting at 9, but we'd lost wickets, and Wrighty was on about I think 70 or 80, and looking like he might not get 100 because we were getting bowled out. So I just stuck around. At one point, I batted a session for 2. And I was just grafting it out because also there was a big hurricane called Hurricane Charlie was coming across
Ah.
the Atlantic, and we knew that the game was only going to be about 3 days tops because it was just going to be a washout. So we just had to make sure we didn't get beaten in 3 days. So I just grafted it out. And at one point, though, I mean, both of them was having a bit of a chip, and I just sort of said to him, I says, "Mate, if you can't get someone from Ilford second 11 out, who, who's the club player here?
Yeah.
Bit of
Yeah.
that." So
Yeah.
that was all good. So we managed to hang on for a draw and we won the series. First time we'd won a series in England.
Well done. Well done. No, we all celebrated back here, didn't we, Macca?
Yeah,
Didn't.
we certainly did. I
Yeah.
remember that
Yeah.
series.
Me too. Me too.
You mentioned the chipping away from with both of them. What are some of the memorable sledges either by
Hey,
you
listen,
or
listen.
against?
You can't go away from my first Test match without
Sorry.
mentioning the catch. You got to
Go
mention the
on.
catch.
Go on.
Oh, the one that came down with snow on it.
Yeah. No,
I
no, no.
remember
Because
that.
I'd kept okay.
Yeah.
It was Hadley was a handful at the Oval because he used to swerve around and all that. So I'd kept okay, and I was really, really waiting for my first Test dismissal. I've been waiting my whole life. Oh, I'm finally playing a Test match. Fine, it was in England too, which I used to read
Awesome.
lots and lots about county cricket and stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for a little nick to come in. If all the Gower edges it wide, I'll dive and take it. If bloody Alan Lamb or whatever.
Yeah.
And weirdly, I wouldn't say I'd had a premonition, but I always used to finish all my little keeping stints with high catches. And remember, Bruce Edgar was really good. Bruce pulled me to one side and said, "Do you want me to spend time hitting catches? Because not a lot of people could be bothered about the keeper." And I said, "Yes, please." So Bruce would spend like 10, 15 minutes whacking catches at me. And I said, "Right, finish now, hit me some high catches." So I'd hit me these big high changers and I'd sprint miles and take these big running catches. And then so when it came along, both of them came in and teed off the second new ball and got this big top edge. And I went, "Yes, I have been waiting for this. I've been planning for this." And it just took off and it went into orbit. And the thing is, I saw on the footage later, it's when it went up, he turned around and started to walk off. And he got about 5 steps. And John Embury is at the other end, yelled out to him. And both of them turned around, he looked up, and then he went like, "Oh," and he walked back because he knew it wasn't going to get caught. And the thing was, I think partly because it was a top edge and partly because it was a really breezy, dark, damp day in London.
Yeah.
The ball was just swirling around, going around figures of 8, and then in a way, it would have been easier if I had to run for it, if
Yeah.
I had to run 20 yards. But it actually landed where I was standing, so I never had to move. It just went up and came down, but with all this corkscrew business.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of following it round, so I ended up doing lots of pirouettes. So I think I did a couple of clockwise turns and then a half clockwise turn. And then I dived full length and I realised, oh shit, I was getting giddy. I dived full length and it landed behind me.
Oh no. Oh
Yeah.
no.
So
Oh.
that was a bit of humour. And then the
Uh,
game got called off. The game got called off shortly after that. Oh no! And then the next over, both of them hit Billy Sterling, God
yeah.
rest him,
Yeah.
for 26 or
I
something.
remember that over. I
Then
remember
a
that
world
listening to
record.
it on the radio.
And I'm going
Oh,
like, oh
what's
no,
going
could
on?
it get any worse?
Oh no.
But then the rain come in, and that was the end of the game. So
Yeah, then you win the series.
we won the
Woo!
series. Yeah.
Get in there. Get in, son.
Yes, well, before you rudely interrupted me there about your
Sorry,
non-catch,
Goose.
some
Sorry, Goose.
You
no,
got
no,
to
it's
get in
all
there.
good.
You got to get in there,
Um,
Chilla.
Yeah, it's a good yarn.
Sledges, any memorable sledges by you or against you from throughout your career? I'm sure there's been a
Oh,
few.
there's probably a few that I don't know what you can
No,
say. I
you
don't
can
know.
say whatever you want, mate. You can say whatever you want. This is the internet.
I don't know. I don't know. But I think that was then. This was now. And some of the
Yeah.
things you said then, people suddenly go, "Oh, that's a bit.
Oh,
That's not right."
yeah.
You
2026,
know.
you'll get
Yeah.
cancelled. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough.
I do remember. A good one in Australia. Because Mark Waugh and Steve Waugh were both batting, both in the same lineup. And I just decided to, because they were so much better than us, but I decided in the one day games just to have a bit of a see if I could have a chip and do something to try and upset them. And Mark Waugh was batting and was batting okay, but this day in Melbourne the wicket wasn't great, and he'd mistimed a couple. So I started, and I was standing up to Gav Larson. So
yeah.
I started going tutting him like this. And then he mishit another one. So, sort of going, ugh. And he turns around after a few and he goes, "What's your problem?" And I said, it's just a bit unfortunate. You're just not a patch on your brother, are you? And so I thought I might come in on a real personal level, because I always felt like, cause I don't know if you noticed, he always called his brother Stephen. He never called him Steve. And
Yeah,
it
true.
always seemed to me like they actually didn't get on. They didn't like each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said, "You're not a patch on your brother." Anyway, so he smashed about another 60. But he was going to do that anyway. And then when he finally got sick of smashing us around and got out, Steve Waugh come in, and so I did the same thing with him. He shanked a couple to start with, and I started, and I give him the "you're not a patch on your brother," and he just looked at me, So, and I don't know if they ever discussed it. I thought the beauty of that was I bet no one of them never said it to the other one. I bet they kept it to themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
And,
no, you get a few things. I had one with Ken Rutherford once. I've been bloody battling away against Otago and not scoring very fast, and Rudder walked past. I was real good mates with Rudder. We both went to Australia in '88 to play for a club team, and we're real good pals, And so he was like, "Oh, bloody get on with it, will you?" Because he didn't like playing first class. "Get on with it, will you?" And I'm so, "Well, you'll have a chance to bat on this bloody crappy wicket here that it was at that time in Palmerston North." And in the end, I finally missed a full toss and got bowled. And as I walked off, he goes, "Ho, ho, ho." And it was really pissed me off. And so I walked off, and some of the city guys said, what did Rutherford say to you? And I said, "Never you mind, never you mind." They said, "Oh, well, we'll give him heaps. We'll give him heaps when he comes out to bat, later on." And so he comes out to bat, and they go, "Oh, we're going to give him heaps of money." And I said, "No, you say nothing, that he's all mine." And they went, "Oh, okay, fair enough." And I remember we had Stewie Duff, who I'm staying with Stewie here while we're coming up with this CD 75th anniversary.
wow.
Stewie was bowling from one end, and Richard Wixon, or Big Wicko, for from out of the army, big Maori Rich Wixon, great bowler on a turning wicket particularly. Anyway, so they're trundling away. And so Rudder come out and just started smashing it. He hit about 25 off about 10 balls. Decided he wasn't going to hang around on this pitch. I said nothing, absolutely nothing, and the guys are looking at me, going like, sort of going, oh, it's about time you said something. I'm just saying, no, I'll just keep my powder dry. And then very shortly after, he plays this big shot and stumps everywhere, but Rich Wixon bowling like this. Yes, and he walks off, and the guys are looking at me as if to say, "You're going to say something." And as he got a couple of steps away, I just went, "See you next Christmas, Santa." And he stopped, and
Did he?
yes, he looked around, but we still have a laugh about that. I went to his 60th a few months ago, and I
Okay.
gave him a present. It was a Santa doll with yeah. So,
And he still
just
remembered? Yeah.
and a Christmas card saying "Merry Christmas, Santa." No, look, whenever I text him from time to time. It's like "Merry Christmas, Santa." I always start it with so.
That's so good. That's such a good story. So Tony, it was a long career. What's your proudest moment in your cricketing career? What's the moment that you sort of hold up as your proudest moment?
Oh, look, I really enjoyed playing club cricket and stuff.
Okay.
I played a lot of cricket for my Gummersall team in Yorkshire. Because what happened was I ended up going back to England in 2010. I married an old cricket girlfriend from Gummersall, and we were married for 14 years. And I kept playing. So I played from 2010 through to 2022.
Wow.
Still playing in Bradford League for the second team,
Yeah.
and had some success, scored a few runs. I didn't play the 2 COVID years. I thought I'm not getting changed in a car park, and if you can't have you can't have a shower and a beer after the game, there's no point,
Yep. Yep.
So, and Yorkshire car parks tend to be quite cold,
I'm
So you guys
sure.
would know that. You
I'm
guys would know that, being keen doggers as you are.
Oh, you went there. Of course you did.
Oh, sorry.
What are you talking about?
You guys have been outed. Yeah.
Don't know what you're talking about, mate.
The
No
old
idea what you're talking about,
Whenua
son.
Dogging Club. Yes.
Calm down. We're gonna have to
Yeah,
put.
yeah, so that was great fun. Always enjoyed playing the club cricket. Walker, there's some real characters there, and Palmerston North, playing for the Marist, and also I had 2 years playing Marist cricket up in Hamilton when I was there for doing a uni course. I had a season for Christchurch high school old boys down when I was in that season in Christchurch with the Hadley brothers, Richard Dale, Barry Hadley, who's a lovely, lovely guy. Walter Hadley, who was a neat guy. But it's all about the people. It's the tangata,
Of course it is.
In terms of for Nelson cricket, I love the Hawke Cup. Fantastic bunch of guys. Great way to learn. Still see a bit of those guys, and it's a very strong bond still. CD, obviously. CD was pretty special. We had some good seasons for CD. We had some not so good seasons too. And some of the better seasons seemed to coincide when there was a guy called Martin Crowe. I don't know if you heard of him. He came and played for us for a while, and he had an offsider called Mark Greatbatch.
Yeah.
When those guys were around, we tended to score a few more runs, actually, oddly enough, and won a few more things. So that was always pretty special. And obviously for New Zealand, some reasonably happy memories. Particularly when we beat Australia. I mean, the last time we beat Australia was I had just got the recall, so I was on the end of the winning runs. I wouldn't say I hit them; they more sort of hit me, really. And then later the next season we beat Pakistan. I hit the winning runs against them too, so that was quite nice. But I mean, cricket. To me, cricket wasn't about the actual game so much. It's more about the people. Because the game itself makes a fool. Eventually, it makes a fool of everybody. It makes a fool of some of us a bit more often than others. But it's the nature of cricket. It reveals people's character and things.
Absolutely.
But it's all about the people. It's all about the people you meet and the friendships you make. Really was the important thing.
Absolutely. So after you stopped playing, you pretty much went straight into coaching, didn't you?
No, unfortunately, I ended up working with you straight
Oh,
after
that's right.
playing. Yeah, that was probably the low point, really.
Of your life so far.
I don't know if you remember a guy called Callum Proctor.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
the doctor.
Yeah, the doctor,
Dr. Proctor.
and Glenn Lama. So that was really
The
good for me
Delite. Yep.
because when I finished with CD, it was like, well, what do you do now? I had no I had no qualifications whatsoever. I had school cert in UE, but I had nothing else. I thought, well, do I go back picking tobacco and unloading fishing boats at Tallies again? I thought I'm probably a bit old for that, especially since they stopped growing tobacco in Motueka about 1982. So I managed to fall into a job at the radio station in Palm. What was that one? That was Radio New Zealand, eh?
Yeah,
Was it
Radio New
2XS?
Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was in sales there. I don't think I sold anything really, but it was good. It was good crack with
crack.
Goose and Callum and the Delhi. We
Made
had
for
lots
some
of
good
fun,
Friday evenings at the Cobb and Co.
especially Friday nights at the Cobb and Co. They used to give us a $50 voucher, didn't they? And $50 bought a lot of beer and wedges in those days.
Why did they give you a $50 voucher? Who was giving you the $50 voucher? What was that for?
I can't remember. Just to go along, and we get involved with this quiz night or something. Wasn't it?
Okay.
No, it was just a bar chat basically, and it was all part of their sales deal that whoever the rep was for them. Jacked it up.
Yeah. But we had to get there early because otherwise, who was the lad that used to drink it all?
Stu Kelly.
Stu Kelly. Stu Kelly used to get there, and we get there. There's only $10 left. And Stu had been in there at 4:00. No, happy days. That was great crack. And then I went to 2XS station next year and did actually some on-air stuff during the sports news, but I was no chop. I got the wrong voice for radio. I sound like I'm in an aluminium bloody tin can, as you can tell.
I don't know. You sound okay, mate. You sound pretty good.
Well, in those days, I think I had a nasal problem. So that's my excuse. No, but then what happened after that? I got offered. Lindsay Crocker asked me to come and coach the Auckland team because he felt that the culture and everything was wrong, and they was all kind of toxic. So they wanted.
So about what year was
before
this
you before you get to that, Chilla?
I
think you missed out an important part of your time in Palmerston North, and that was a bit of commentary duty on the old sports roundup.
That's right.
Oh, you've commentated.
Yeah, it started got co-op to do a bit of commentary. Was that the first thing when we did it at Levin?
In Levin, yeah.
Yeah, Goose and I, we'd never commentated before, and we're in this caravan at the end of the ground at Levin. It's a cycle track, so we're about 150 yards because it's long and narrow. 150 yards away in this caravan, trying to look at we didn't know who the players were because they were just these little specks in the distance.
And they're all pre-internet and everything. Yeah.
And every other game in New Zealand had been rained out, and so we were the only thing on.
No.
And the wicket was rubbish, and I think it was ND against who? Goose, I can't remember.
It was
Must
CD.
have been Wellington. Oh, CD was it?
Yeah,
it would have been CD. Of course it was.
CD ND. Yeah.
Yes, okay, CD ND. And I think after 30 overs, CD were, because ND were fielding, I remember, CD were like 41 for 8 of 30 overs. Jeez. So there was nothing even to talk about. It was torturous, wasn't it, Goose? Yeah.
Well, it was, and what added to, I was doing the ball by ball, and Chilla was doing the comments.
Yeah.
And it was the days before player names and numbers, so they're all wearing the same, and it was Colour's charity day.
No, coloured.
Oh, the coloured clothing.
Yep. It was coloured clothing, but it was cold as charity, and every single player had their long sleeve jersey and Northern District's floppy hat on.
Yeah,
so,
no idea.
Exactly the same. I think I had Matthew
Hart
Hart fielding in 8 different
they were
positions.
all quite tall. Most of them were tall and slim. They were there was Simon Dool, I think Richard de Groen. All these tall guys and quite sort of slim and athletic. You just couldn't tell who they bloody were,
No.
And we had that thing where we ended up sort of not, and then we didn't know who they were now. And then it's bowled by Simon Dool, and it's fielded by
come up with it.
Bailey, and it was really the same guys doing all the fielding and bowling because we didn't know, and they were the only guys we knew. It was just tragic, really. On it goes. It was quite.
And anybody that walked past the caravan, like Doug Cowie walked past the caravan at one stage. Doug, come in here. Come in here.
Come in here. Help us out. Come and say something different. Yeah. We were gone.
Oh, that's
So I started to do a bit of commentary. So I went and I coached the Auckland Aces for a couple of seasons.
And what year was this, Tony? Now
96, 7, 8.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. not a lot of success there. We had our moments, but the Auckland team at the time had a very good bowling attack, but no batting. So we really struggled to put runs on the board. So that was interesting. But on the back of that, I got Auckland Grammar.
Yep.
Asked me to come and do a bit of coaching. Well, at the end of the thing with my contract with Auckland Cricket, I had nothing to do. I actually went on the dole I signed on the dole because I had no money and I basically had nothing in the bank.
Yep.
And then I got asked to do a little bit of coaching up at Auckland Grammar. Did a couple of sessions and they offered me a job to get involved with the cricket there. And they said, well, excuse me, they'll do some part-time help out in the PE department, which was very nice. And so, and from there, they gave me some time to go and do my degree at the university campus at Epsom, just around the corner. So that's how I got into teaching, doing PE. And it took me 6 years. It was a 4-year degree, but because I was doing it part-time, it took me 6 years to finish my degree. And after that, then I started teaching proper out at Kelston. And then in England after that, when I went over there in 2010.
Nice. So you're still teaching. That was sort of late 90s all the way through till now. You're sort of in the education system.
Well, I went to England. I only taught for 3 years over there because English schools are very different to here and not enjoyable at all, I didn't find.
Yeah.
I stayed in the school system, but in doing pastoral things, looking after the naughty kids, really. And the schools that I was in were just next door to Leeds, about 10 miles from Leeds is Bradford, and the schools were 95% Muslim, so that's all Pakistani immigrant coming in. So they have a whole different way of being, and it's one of the most impoverished parts of England. So there's a lot of crime, a lot of gangs, drugs. So I was dealing with the kids and the parents of that low end of that. So it was pretty challenging, but also at the same time, I really enjoyed it. And people would say to me, "Oh, how do you seem to get along with these kids pretty well?" And there were a few things in my favour. The first thing was that I, at the heart of it myself, am just a child. And have I was like 17 in 1979, and it just hasn't moved on for me really. I'm still in the same place.
We're pretty much the same, mate. We're
in my head. Yeah, well, you know what I'm talking about.
We do.
Yeah. For better or worse, that's where I am. I still have Steve Miller Band playing as the background music to my thoughts, and also. The kids would always Google you up to try and see what they could get on you and see if you were on social media and try and get anything they could use against you. But then they'd come to me because the Pakistani kids, they love their cricket. That's their thing. And they would come up to me within a day or two and go, "Sir, you played Test cricket against Pakistan." To which I'd just say, "Pakistan Zindabad," which means Pakistan is the best. So we used to get along pretty well because of that was my in with those kids. So they thought I was all right. So I had a way of communicating with them.
Well, you probably treated them like human beings, mate. I mean, you know.
Well, the third thing that really let me sort of work with them pretty easily was that having mum and dad ran the Motueka Hotel when I was a teenager, and some of the goings on then in a country pub. That was like if you ever met my dad, he was he was a bit of a one-off. And also working with people like Goose and Callum Proctor in the Delhi, it teaches you to actually not be judgmental and just and you look at people and go like, "Oh my God, has he just said that? Is he serious?" So some of the so you throw that all into the mix, and I enjoyed my time and my work in England. It was in a way I was disappointed to have to come back. Although my marriage went toes up, and that's the way those things go sometimes. But the other great bonus, Yorkshire people are great, was to be able to have another 12 seasons of cricket, which I thought from about the age of 50 to be playing every Saturday. And of course, cricket in Yorkshire is really great. You have purpose-built grounds. Our club had been there for 150 years.
Wow.
you're playing against Pudsey St Lawrence, where Len Hutton was. We used to go up to Farsley, and Ray Illingworth was still coming to the games to have a look.
Amazing.
Former England captain. He was up there every Saturday, sort of having a look and watching. So it's a big part of the fabric of Yorkshire life.
Yeah.
And I played over 50s cricket, used to have a Sunday competition, which was good fun. In the final, we won our team, the Central Yorkshire team. We won the final of our Yorkshire-wide. It's called the Fox Cup over 50s. We won one of 3 or 4 years running. The final would be at Scarborough County Ground. We played the semi-finals at Headingley. That kind of stuff. And in my last season about the last thing I did before I came back, I played 4 games for Yorkshire over 60s, and we ended up winning our national championship.
Wow.
And I got 97 not out in the final. Thanks very much.
Oh,
well
well,
done,
fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Thanks very much.
they're obviously not like their first class side where they only accept for Yorkshiremen. Obviously, they allow.
No, well, they changed that rule in 1990.
Yeah.
No, you had to be Yorkshire born to play for Yorkshire up until 1990, and by then they realised actually all these other teams have got these fantastic international players.
Yeah.
And we can't really compete if we're only just using our local guys. So Sachin Tendulkar was the first. Sachin Tendulkar was the first.
Not bad.
Overseas.
We'll just get a little import in. Yeah.
It made me laugh. A few years later, they got another Indian lad to come in, and they started to call him Five Dulkar, because they reckon he was only half as good.
That's a beauty.
Five Dulkar.
Oh.
Yeah,
so, mate, what a cricket career you've had. You're still playing. You're still. So, what are you doing now? What are you doing right now?
I work at. I'm heading back. I've been on holiday for the last 5. I've been down in Motueka for the last 3 weeks. It's been lovely. I'm at. There's a 75th Central District's due today.
Today.
At McLean. Today, yeah. That's why I'm a bit. I've got to head off in a minute. I was just ironing a shirt when you called. So that'll be lovely. I'm speaking with Ross Taylor. Ben Hurley's emceeing it. There's quite a few hundred people. It'll be a lovely do. There's a lot of the old CD boys: Gary Robertson, Ian Snock, Roger Pearce. There's lots of the old faces are there. There's a couple of hundred. I think there's 220 people there. So all the CD Stags and the Hinds are there. So that's great. So that'll be a nice day. But I drive back up to Auckland in a couple of days. Be back to Mount Albert Grammar School. I've been there 2 years now since I got back from England. It's a wonderful school.
It is a wonderful school.
Wonderful school. 3,700 kids, but you wouldn't know it. No. I've been there 2 years. I haven't seen a fight. No. Which just tells you about how happy the kids and the staff are too. So.
Especially if you read the internet, you probably think, oh my God, it's all happening over in Mount Albert, that area. Especially, lots of immigration. There's Somalians. There's all sorts of things, and you're telling us you haven't seen a fight in 2 years. So
no. It's such a great school. Pat Drum, the headmaster, runs such a great.
It's awesome.
He's a big cricket man. He still plays last man stands for Ellerslie.
Yeah,
he's just a neat guy. Emily Drum's brother. He's like a really cool guy, and he's been really great to me because when I arrived, I didn't have my teaching because I hadn't taught for 10 years. I had to retrain.
Oh, okay.
So they've allowed me to do that while still giving me a job and that. So, and I take a Colts team. I take the little under 15s number 1 team, and we have these little fellas coming through. It's all really good fun. So I still enjoy doing that. So it's great, fantastic.
Awesome.
Just a few thoughts on the game today. Obviously, T20's come around since you've pretty much stopped playing. What are your thoughts on the way that T20 is, I'm going to use the word infiltrated
Taken
the game of cricket?
Yeah, I love it and I hate it. It's cricket at its essence, even though the game has changed a lot, the essence of cricket has not changed. It's still, a bowler against a batter with the fielders trying to support and influence and create dominance and all that kind of stuff. And it still reveals character of people. It's the nature of the game because of the time involved in the skill sets. It's a game based on failure,
Yep.
You make one mistake, you're gone. It's not like tennis. You serve one out, you get another serve, or golf, you hit one and it doesn't go straight. You hit another three or whatever. You just keep playing, but not in
Yep.
cricket.
No. You
You
make one
cock it up.
mistake, you're sitting on your ass for a
That's
day, aren't
right.
you?
That's
Exactly.
the interview. So it's a game that, but at its heart, it still reveals that the essence is to reveal character, and it's a constantly fascinating and intoxicating contradiction of a game, So that hasn't changed, and I think that's the attraction for everybody at any form of the game, whether it be white ball cricket or Test match cricket. That having been that having been said, I also applaud the variety of stroke play that's played now. I don't like all of the shots, but you've got to tip your hat to the way people take it on.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that puts pressures on bowlers on having to come up with ways to try and confuse batters and not be hit all around the park. So there's all that to it. The fielding's very athletic and all that kind of stuff. But I just wonder sometimes, at which point the game is going to be changed irreparably in terms of. I think we started to see a little bit of test matches with the Ashes of 2-day test matches and stuff. And I know part of that was put down to the fact that I think Australia deliberately left more grass on, so the English couldn't play that Bazball style to their advantage. And it almost backfired on the Australians because they had to bat on those wickets as well. But yeah, so while I love the game, I still get a little concerned that essence is going to change more than is healthy.
With the influx of money now in the game, especially coming from the likes of India with the IPL and all those,
Franchising.
It's really affected New Zealand's traditional summer program, hasn't it? I mean, right now we should have a team touring here, but because the T20 World Cups now are every second year and probably every fourth year they're going to be in India or Pakistan or Bangladesh. It's sort of taken away our traditional summer, hasn't it?
Even around cricket, even around Christmas, New Year, where's our Boxing Day test? We don't even have a Boxing Day, one day of this year. We just didn't have any cricket. It's like,
I don't know what the answer to that is. It's the old story. It's the golden rule, isn't it? Whoever's got the gold rules. So, what concerns me too is that you'll increasingly get players who are not bothered about playing any other form than the short format so they can cash up on it. And fair enough, your career's short and all that kind of stuff. But it's a bit of a shame if we were going to lose all these guys. And also, I haven't seen it just yet at the level that I'm coaching at the under-14s, but I'm still trying to teach kids the techniques of cricket,
basics.
The basics. I don't know that any of them are ever going to go, what do you mean a forward defensive shot? Why would you play that? What's the value in that? So there's all that to consider. But look, it's the nature of things. Change is inevitable. It's just a matter of how you cope with it, and how you make it all work for the benefit of all.
Right. Well, before we let you go, because yes, you got to get off to your reunion, which I would have loved to have actually been to myself. So make sure you say good day to the likes of Snooky and Robbo and
Duffy.
Mate,
it's only 18 past 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. It starts at 12.
Get a wriggle on.
Get your skates on.
Yeah, on.
Yeah.
It's a 3-hour drive from Greytown.
Get Michelle to iron your shirt, get in the car, and off you go, son.
Right.
There might not be much of the
finish
bar
off
tab.
with the hot air questionnaire.
Now, this is to delve into the inner Tony Blain, okay? We've learned a lot about you in the sporting sense. This is 10 questions, not very sport-related, but we just want some quick-fire answers from you. First one is, can you cook? What's your
badly.
Do you have a signature dish?
I quite like a bit of a fry up, I'll just chuck a bit of chicken in a pan with a bit of ginger and garlic and then throw some broccoli in and, so just pan fry it all up and I'm away.
Beautiful.
3 dinner party guests, dead or alive?
Well, I'd definitely have to go with Albert Einstein because there's a lot of chat around him being smart. So I just like to find that out for myself. And the thing is too, with Albert, He had a few hair issues over the years, and
True.
as I'm getting older, I'm finding my hair is just not as silky and manageable as it used to be. So we could discuss that. I'd probably get either Adolf Hitler or Jesus Christ, because again, a lot's been written about them. Good, some bad. So I never like to judge with people. So I would like to have either one or both of those, so just depending if Albert wasn't available.
Be a hell of a dinner party.
Yeah, so far. And then probably Marilyn Monroe, because apparently, by the sound of it, she put out. So yeah, that would be a possible three there.
Oh, those are beautiful. Those are beautiful.
Lovely.
Oh,
Lovely.
okay.
Love to be a
Okay.
fly on the wall for that one.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, cats or dogs? Tony, cats or dogs?
Oh, look, cats are lovely, but dogs have that personality, don't they?
Yeah. You got a dog?
Yep.
You got a dog
I
yourself?
had a dog for many years.
Yep.
And
Larry?
I would like, Larry. He's a beautiful golden retriever. He's 14 when we had to let him go.
Yeah.
He was just a sweetheart.
Yeah.
While I was in England too, we always had dogs. He had a border collie called Ollie, and then another wee puppy just as I left. But yeah, at the moment it's not applicable when I'm working full time. Maybe when I'm retired, I'll probably get another doggy. Would be lovely. But they're such great mates,
aren't they? Aren't they? Hey, you mentioned the Steve Miller Band before. I don't know whether that was a nod to this question. What's your favorite band or your favorite song? What's your music do you like?
So many. I mean, so many. I was lucky. Both my parents were musicians and played in bands, for years and years. Dad was a music teacher at school, and so I was always surrounded by jazz. There was always jazz going. So, my taste really. I like jazz, blues, soul,
Davis
sort of stuff. Yeah, all that stuff.
Nice.
Lovely. Back to food. Sweet or savoury?
Savoury.
Nice answer.
Airbnb, hotel, or camping?
Anywhere that's got a nice bed, really. I'm not bothered. Anywhere to put my
You're not a camper then?
No, I should say either of the first two, not camping, because it's very hard to sleep comfortably in a tent, isn't it? Once the sun comes up, you're done. That's it. Get up. Get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and it's 40 degrees in your tent.
What about a mundane thing you absolutely hate doing?
Housework.
Fair enough.
It's just not my thing.
Guilty pleasure.
I mean, I will hoover, every 6 months, whether it needs it or not. But even then, I'm begrudging. Yeah. Guilty pleasure. Probably watching TV. Watching programs that aren't necessary. I think I shouldn't really be watching this.
What do you watch? What's the thing you shouldn't be watching?
Quite often in England, I would find myself watching things like the Brokenwood Mysteries.
Oh yeah,
that's 90 minutes of your life you're never going to get back.
No,
entertaining though. Every storyline's the same.
Yep.
And it's like
a lot of people dying in this tiny little town.
Why are you living in this town when there's a murder every week?
Totally.
And it's always people murdered in such creative ways. It doesn't make it better or more acceptable. But I used to sit there. To be fair, I used to watch that all the time, and my then wife used to go nutty about it. She says these things are pathetic. But I was a bit homesick, I think, so I just like watching all the background. It
was basically New Zealand's version of Midsummer Murders.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, and also if Jason Hoyt come on, I'd go like, I know
him. Beautiful. What about your biggest fear, Tony? The thing that you fear the most?
Heights.
Heights.
I don't like heights.
I hate them too, mate. I hate them too.
That's why I'm sitting down at the moment. No, I'm not big on heights. Really,
I'm with you on that one. With you on that one.
And last one, best piece of advice you've ever received?
Drink lots of water.
Nice. You carry one of those big 3-litre bottles?
No, I should though. I should, but that's my New Year's resolution this year is I'm going to drink more water because I just don't drink enough water, and it's it's important.
Is that because you're drinking Too much wine or something, or beer?
No,
Or,
I don't really drink. I don't really drink alcohol these days.
Oh, okay.
But
Good man.
but that's my New Year's resolution: drink more water.
Well, Tony Blain, thank you so much for doing the hot air questionnaire. You are now known by our viewers and our listeners.
Lovely,
And thanks for spending time with us today, mate. We really, really appreciate it.
fantastic. Lovely to
Yes,
talk
it's
to you
been
guys.
an absolute pleasure to catch up with you, Chilla, once again. We don't catch up often enough, and hopefully next time I'm up in Auckland, you won't be laid up with a bloody crook leg after
That's right.
last
I'm
year's
not
effort.
on crutches as I was here.
Jump in the car, Goose. He's only 3 hours up the road. Go and see him.
Hey,
Quite
thanks
right,
very much.
quite right.
Thanks,
That
fellas.
brings to an end the first of our hot air glory years, and we'll be back with another one in a couple of weeks.